I'd like to go ahead and welcome everyone this afternoon and go ahead and call this meeting to order and welcome you to the District 271's regular Board of Trustees meeting of December 8th, 2025. Will everyone please rise and together we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to go ahead and introduce our participants for this evening, and starting at my far right is Ms. Marianne Southwick, Clerk of the Board, Dr. Sean Hawker, Superintendent. To my left is Ms. Leslie Bierke, Vice Chair, Ms. Heather Tenbrink, Board Member, Mr. Jimmy McAndrew, Board Member, Mr. Rick Rasmussen, Board Member, and I'm Rebecca Smith, Board Chair. Public comment on school and education matters is scheduled near the start of the meeting. Please sign up to speak at the back at the sheet provided right back there. Comments may also be submitted to the board via email at trustees@cdaschools.org or in writing through our clerk. Is there a motion today to go ahead and approve today's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. I think Heather seconded.
Jimmy first, I second.
Gets first. Jimmy gets first and Heather gets second. We're going to launch right in then and celebrate our staff and student recognitions this evening.
All right. We're super excited to recognize a couple of teachers for our Educator of the Month in the month of November. At the middle school level, we have Erica Linholt Duncan. She is a social studies teacher at Woodland Middle School. She teaches 7th grade world cultures and is known for going above and beyond for students and staff. She is always willing to help, always learning, and looking for creative ways to make history meaningful and engaging. She exemplifies Woodland's grizzly grit through her dedication, professionalism, and unwavering belief in her students. At the high school level, we have Madison Seymour. She is here. She teaches ELA. Is it still called ELA at high school? Okay. At Lake City High School. And her colleagues say Madison has made an extraordinary impact since joining the English department. Her leadership in the Outdoor Studies program and commitment to dual credit instruction have truly elevated learning opportunities for Lake City students, many calling her their favorite teacher, and it's easy to see why. Madison's creativity, innovative curriculum, and the many extra hours she invests in outdoor learning show her deep dedication. Her ability to connect with every student and her passion for helping them grow is evident every day. So congratulations to both those teachers. And then also this month, we're going to recognize our swim teams. They had their state meet. We're going to start with Lake City High School. At the state championship, the Lake City girls team earned state runner-up, and they had Quinn Taylor won the 100 freestyle, and the 200 freestyle relay team, which was Sylvia Straw, Taylor Young, Aaron Griffith, and Tilly Sobek, also earned a championship title. They also had multiple silver and bronze finishes, and Quinn Taylor and Tilly Sobek broke 2 Lake City school records, so that's pretty cool. The boys' team at the same meet had Eli Shaw, who brought home a bronze medal in the 100 butterfly. And then also CHS went to the state swim meet. So on their boys' team, Andrew Davis, Jace Voller, Owen Keith, and Dawson Cushman won the state championship in the 400 freestyle relay. Andrew Davis got a second place finish in the 500 freestyle. And then there were also several third place finishes from the boys 200 freestyle and Dawson Cushman. On the girls team at CHS, they had a new school record in the 200 freestyle relay. This was set by Karsten Towery, Claire Thorpe, Reagan Greiner, and Allie Maykuth. Allie also earned some additional podium finishes. So congratulations to all of those swimmers.
believe we have a presentation of certificates of election to our newly re-elected and elected candidates in zones 1 and 4.
And if Rick and Leslie, if you'd like to join me down here, I'll present them to you. It is Trustee Rick Rasmussen in Zone 1 and Trustee Leslie Bierke in Zone 4. Okay, first to you, Rick, and I'll shake your hand. Okay, let's. You want me in it? Yeah. Oh, okay, wait, then let me give you yours. That's very good, Leslie. Good, thank you.
We're gonna save on film, so we
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Awesome. The next thing on our agenda, it says recognition of Chair Smith's 6 years of service, and that's me. And so I don't know what that piece is, but
That means we would like you to come out here in front as well and join me for just a second. All right, tonight I have the privilege of recognizing Rebecca Smith for her remarkable service on our school board, and especially the last several years as board chair. It's very touching for me as well. She's the lone remaining board member of the original board that hired me 5 years ago. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve here as the superintendent in this incredible school district. Over the past 6 years, and especially during my 5 years working alongside her, Rebecca has led with steadiness, courage, and an unwavering belief in what's possible for our students and community. Her leadership has elevated not only the work of this board, but the trajectory of our entire school district. Under Rebecca's guidance, our district navigated financial challenges, passed critical levies with strong community support, and maintained clear, transparent governance through times of intense public interest. She approached every decision with integrity and heart, always keeping our students at the center and inviting the community into the conversation. Her ability to build unity, even in difficult moments, has been instrumental in strengthening trust across the district. As she concludes her service, both as board chair and a trustee, we extend our deepest appreciation for her vision, her tireless commitment, and her belief in the power of strong public education. Rebecca's leadership has left an enduring impact on our schools, our families, and our future. On behalf of the Coeur d'Alene School District, thank you, Chair Smith, for leading with such grace and distinction for the legacy you leave behind. We will miss you. We wish you all the best, and we have a gift for you. So before I give the gift, and we actually have a couple little gifts, but this gift is really pretty awesome, and you have to open it right here.
Very proud of this gift.
There you go. You have a piece of Lakes Middle School with you. Read the back of it.
This Idaho sign was created from the original 1954 Lakes Middle School gym, preserving a piece of our school's history.
So awesome. And we would like to invite on behalf of our principals, Trent and Heather, would you come up also? I know you have a little gift to give her as well.
Chair Smith, thank you so much for your servant leadership, I would say, to our district, but more importantly, to our students and our families, and just your unwavering support for them and always keeping them on the forefront is what has been such an inspiration to all of us. So from the bottom of the elementary, admin, and secondary, we just want to say thank you. It's been an honor. Yeah.
in addition from the secondary team as well. I think you'll appreciate it. It'll be kind of fun for you to look. Yeah, there's a book, and then pasted inside the book, there's some cards, but also some messages from each of our principals and assistant principals to you, and for what you've meant to us. I think one of the greatest compliments anybody can receive is, did you leave an organization better than when you found it? And I think we would all agree in this room and in this district that you've done that because of your just unwavering and tireless commitment to kids, and that's what it's all about. So thank you.
Yeah, you're not going to. Actually, it's SAG.
Here, where'd the lakes thing go? Here we go.
You want it?
Yeah.
Super cool. Is that one of those board books that you get to read about?
I will, just a second. Thank you. I don't have a full speech, but I do want to just say a couple of things really quick, if you don't mind. And if I cry, it's only because this work matters a lot. And it's meant a lot over the last 6 years. And our community and our district coming together, everyone together to educate our kids matters and is important. And sometimes there's voices that cause doubt and question about that, and I've learned that over the last 6 years, but it's really people that are passionate about kids and passionate about what they believe, and our community believes in kids, and they're so generous, and I'm so thankful. I truly am. I'm just thankful to have gotten a chance to serve in this capacity, in this way, and to meet and to work with people that care about what they're doing and care about our kids. And together, District 271, we have a lot to be proud of. We have so much to be proud of. There's been so much that has happened in the last 6 years. We've accomplished a lot, we've walked through a lot, and I'm just so grateful. I'm super excited for Lisa Aikens to step into this seat, and what I just know what a great service she's gonna do as well. I'm super thankful for this board. What an amazing board that we have that is dedicated and really focused on kids and the right work. And mainly, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for the trust. I really believe in that word when that word trustee has that word trust in it. And I've really tried to honor that trust that the community has placed in all of us along the way. And so thank you for that. Thanks.
You can check yourself off. Good job.
Checked myself off. I was D. We're done. All right. And now to the good part. High school student body reports. Who's up first? Okay, so it's just CHS. Come on up.
Alrighty, good evening, esteemed board chair, honorable trustees, Superintendent Hawker, district employees, and valued community members. My name is Lila Bailey, and I am the ASB president here at CHS. And with me, I have Jake Hasso, my vice president. I have Olivia Norwood, my treasurer, and then I have Sophia Stein, my secretary. So just to start off, in the past month, we've had a lot going on at CHS. Currently, we are in full swing Fight for the Fish preparations, preparing for January 9th. And then with that, CHS is doing something a little bit different with Fight for the Fish this year. So in order to honor a little bit of the giving part that we used to have with Fight for the Fish, we've decided to do a quick little fundraiser for the Red and Blue Foundation in order to honor our firefighters and just especially in light of local things that have happened with them. And so we're going to be doing a cash-only fundraiser the week of Fight for the Fish to help them out a little bit. And then with our school, we've just had DECA, went to regionals. We had a lot of kids do really well at DECA. We had a lot of first place and podium winners. We had drama. They just got second at state, so we're super proud of them. And then also in November, we had our All for All month of fundraising. So every single week we had a different fundraiser. We fundraised we had donations for Corte Casa, Canopy Village, Safe Passage, and the Humane Society. And now I'm going to pass it on to Jake.
All right, as you guys can tell, I didn't get the Jersey memo, but so this past month, as Lila said, we had a lot going on. Something that was really awesome for me to see and for our school and district to see was that our football team was able to make it to semifinals, which was awesome. And then also, I think it was last week, we had our new Viking statue unveiled. His real name is Sigvard, which means the protector of victory. And the classes of 1967 and 1972 were the ones who helped sponsor that statue. And then also just this past week, we had basketball starting, which, I encourage everyone to go see those games. They're really entertaining. All right, that's it for me. And now I'll be passing it to Sophia. Oh, sorry. Liv.
Okay, so we also have started wrestling, which is super amazing. They just had a tournament, which they did really well in. And then for Rotary, we've had our Rotary students. We had Annika Hain and Brady Gatton. Super excited to honor those two kids. And then for state for, what? For music state, we had all state for honors ensemble. They did win that, which is super exciting to see that. And then for the Excel Foundation, we just want to say thank you for our teachers. They did give really big grants for our teachers. It's super exciting to see that and just honor our teachers. And we really thank the Excel Foundation for that. And I'm just going to pass it on to Soph.
Hi. So our counseling department had had the Angel Tree Foundation and had 29 families sponsor it. And we have the blood drive coming up soon for DECA. And then also with DECA, we have the Toys for Tots coming up as well. Thank you.
So yeah, that's everything that we have for November, and we're really excited to head into our holiday break. We're wishing you guys all safe travels if you're traveling. But yeah, that's all from CHS. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to move into our student advisory group reports, and go ahead and lead us.
Hello. Okay, awesome. Good evening, Chair Smith, members of the board, Dr. Hawker, Ms. Southwick. My name is Hagen Walker, and I currently serve as the SAG secretary. Before we begin our SAG presentation, we wanted to thank Chair Smith for her years of service to our students. Your impact is profound. Thank you. We began our most recent meeting by celebrating the accomplishments of several SAG members, recognizing leadership, academic achievements, and contribution to their school communities. These moments continue to set a positive tone and remind us why student voice matters. Tonight, I'm joined by Anna and Kenzie. A portion of our meeting focused on SAG bylaws. Students agree that updates are needed. However, we don't want them to use all of our meeting time rewriting them. Maddie and I volunteered to draft a revision for a section of the bylaws to be proposed and voted on in December. Some of the things we are considering include students in SAG often participate in multiple programs and may miss some meetings throughout the year. Increasing membership would allow for more diversity and conversations and representative. And finally, middle and elementary SAGs are also exploring changes to their membership structure, and we would like to align with them thoughtfully. Now I'll pass it to Anna to share our next set of updates.
Thank you, Hagen. My name is Anna Torgensen, and I'm a SAG representative from Coeur d'Alene High School. One of our major commitments this month was taking a closer look at district attendance as part of our DO's 90-day blitz. Our group compiled research and reflections into a shared Google Doc, and several themes quickly emerged. Some of these key findings include district attendance is up nearly 2% from last year. Venture has nearly 1/6 of its students with perfect attendance. Across the district, schools are working to ensure students feel valued through academics, attendance recognition, and meaningful connections. Students also dug into factors that strengthen engagement. Many emphasized that schools feel more relevant when it connects to the real world, and several of our SAG members suggested launching a video-based social media campaign, highlighting graduating seniors as attendance role models, making parent forms more accessible, and expanding communication about clubs and activities to help students find belonging. Other research shows strong links between attendance, poverty, mental health, transportation, and disengagement. Many students noted that involvement in activities like chemistry labs, DECA, or student council can meaningfully increase motivation and attendance. With those findings in mind, I'll turn it over to Kenzie to share how we're planning to move this work forward, especially with our upcoming focus on venture.
Thank you, Anna. My name is Kenzie Kiger. I am a SAG representative for Venture High School. Looking ahead, our SAG has committed to exploring two major topics in December: account and club donations to charitable organizations and student involvement and activation at Venture. And I especially want to highlight that second area because it's where we feel the most momentum right now. Next month, our SAG is dedicating time to deeply examine what students' engagement looks like at Venture and how those practices might inform work across the district. Our attendance research repeatedly pointed back to the same ideas. Students show up when they feel connected, purposeful, and valued. Venture is already doing an incredible work in this area. Nearly 1/6 of its students have perfect attendance, and that doesn't happen by accident. Venture's emphasis on relationships, personalized learning, and meaningful involvement provides a strong foundation. We want to learn from that success and find ways to allow their students to be involved in clubs, activities, and potentially dances. In December, we plan to explore how students are welcomed into activities and leadership roles, what systems help or hinder participation, ways to partner with staff to expand student activation, and how these strategies might be adapted across different school environments. Our goal is to bring you concrete, student-driven insights that honor Venture's strengths while identifying opportunities that support engagement district-wide. Thank you for your time, for listening to our student voices, and for continuing to support us, to support this work. We look forward to sharing our next steps in December. Now we will hear from our middle school reps.
Good evening, Chair Smith, members of the board, Dr. Hawker, and Ms. Southwick. My name is Abel Rosen. I'm a 6th grader at Lakes Middle School. Here's a brief update from our latest student advisory group meeting. We opened with pizza and a quick team building game to help students connect. Mr. Derrick provided an overview of the revision to Board Policy 3295 and shared that once the policy is adopted, SAG will be asked for their guidance and feedback. Students centered their work around 3 questions. How can all voices be heard at their schools? How will they communicate their roles as SAG representatives? And what are the most pressing concerns for middle school students, and what ideas can address them? We completed 4 short work sessions focused on promoting SAG, gathering student input suggestions, identifying key concerns and survey ideas, and reviewing attendance data provided by Dr. Nelson. Our next meeting will be Thursday, December 11th, 2025 at Lakes Middle School, room 103, from 3:15 to 5 p.m. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Smith, members of the board, Dr. Hawker, and Ms. Southwick. My name is Berkeley Walker, and I'm current Vice Chair of Elementary SAG. I am a 5th grader at Hayden Meadows Elementary. I joined SAG to help improve our schools while also listening to the voices and suggestions of our peers, Tonight, I will share what we discussed during the first half of our last SAG meeting. To begin the meeting, we discussed the potential of adding a new food item that our nutrition department came up with for school lunch. Miss Box and Chef Addie came up with the idea of pasta salad, broccoli cheddar soup, and a roll with garlic seasoning. They gave us the privilege of trying this new meal before they put the food as an item on the menu. After we tried this scrumptious food, we filled out a survey on whether this meal could become part of the menu. Once we completed a survey on each item, we gave our thoughts to Miss Box and Chef Addie. After we finished our sampling and surveying, we were asked to give our suggestions to Miss Box about our school cafeteria. Some of the most common suggestions that came up were strawberry milk, hairnets, and some of the school's popular food that wanted to be served more. Back to strawberry milk, we were informed by the cafeteria staff that if we want strawberry milk, we must be demanding because there aren't enough people requesting it. The more we demand, the closer we are to getting strawberry milk. So on account of that, Marina Myers and I drew a pink cow on a poster that reads, "Want strawberry milk? Then you gotta be demanding." In a kind way, of course. The nutrition provider said so. We want to pass the poster from school to school to help push for strawberry milk. At the end of the first half, we came up with an understanding on how to get our strawberry milk, learned about the job of a nutritional provider for our school, lunch menus, the process of a test or tune item on the menu, and tasted scrumptious food. Thank you for listening to me speak this evening and receive input for the students.
Good evening, Chair Smith, members of the board, Dr. Hawker, and Miss Southwick. Hello, my name is Sienna Mance. I'm in fourth grade at Bryan Elementary School, and I joined SAG because I wanted to help make our schools better and make sure student voices are heard. I'm going to share what we talked about in the second half of our last SAG meeting. First, we talked about the next SAG guest speaker. We have asked Keith Orchard to be our next guest, and we believe that is going to happen. He will talk to us about bullying and conflict resolution. We are really excited for that because we want students to feel safe, supported, and know how to solve problems in a positive way. Next, we reviewed Board Policy 3295, which is about bullying. As a group, we had several ideas and suggestions. We think the policy is good, but we felt like it would be stronger if it included clear consequences or punishments for bullying. We also talked about how bullying happens a lot outside, like at recess. So having more adults outside on duty could help students feel safer and make things easier to notice. We shared that if a student is being unkind or bullying, there should be a fair consequence, and we also said that if someone makes a fake bullying report, they should have a consequence too, because false reports can hurt people as well. Another idea was to have a short class, even just 5 minutes a week, to practice conflict resolution skills so students can learn how to stand up for themselves and solve problems. In the end, everybody agreed with the policy overall, and we appreciated having the chance to share our ideas about how to make our school even better. Thank you for letting me speak today. If you have any questions, we would be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions? I will point out, I don't believe it's the first time we've heard about strawberry milk.
I was going to say.
I think we've heard about
I feel
the
like
need.
strawberry milk was on our agenda at our board retreat.
I believe so.
I feel like it got discussed at a board retreat.
I feel like there was some. I'm wondering on the strawberry milk if maybe like you had a special occasion like Valentine's Day is coming up or maybe Easter and see how that goes and see how popular it is. I mean, I used to love strawberry milk when I was younger, so.
I actually talked to Miss Box about this, and there's a supplier issue. That's
okay,
the
so-
issue. So she's trying.
Right.
I know she's trying.
Well, it's a great
Supply
idea.
chain issues with strawberry milk.
I also wanted to compliment you all on your very thorough reports. I mean, so impressive. And I loved all your suggestions to address the bullying issue. You were very clear and concise, and I really appreciate that. So, well done.
I also wanted to say I'm super excited to see Venture get kind of more involved in the high school level SAG. So I'm glad to see that, and I'm glad to hear that you're going to look specifically at successes and how to build on those there. So awesome, guys.
This would be the SAG presentation that I would want to go out on if I was you, Chair Smith. This was very, very solid. Demand that strawberry milk. Demand, don't take no for an answer. I don't think you will. Kudos. Thank you for your attendance, for being ambassadors and advocates for it. 1/6 of Venture with perfect attendance. That's incredible. So thank you for being such great peers to your classmates in that endeavor. And we will definitely take everything that you had to say about 3295 under advisement, and thanks for your feedback. And the next one is when? Next meeting's when? Okay, I think I'm at that one. I think so. I'm looking forward to it.
No, I appreciate you guys, stepping up. When I went to school many years ago here, and I always wanted to have the students have a say. I went to school board meetings back in the day and would try to ask to speak and was turned in. So I love that you guys are out there putting your time in and coming up with suggestions. And I'm a big strawberry milk fan, so I'm full support of. I'm ready to help out any way I can there. But it is so great how you guys have great, concise, actual suggestions, and definitely will take them under advisement. So thank you for all your time and effort.
Perfect. Thank you. Well done. All right.
And thank you to the parents as well.
Yeah. I'd like to go ahead and draw everyone's attention. We have a CEA, Coeur d'Alene Education Association report that is in our packet this evening. And then moving on, we've got from the trustees, ISBA convention recap, and so everyone was able to attend, and so maybe just some highlights from that. And anyone have anything jump out that was held here in Coeur d'Alene?
Yes.
Just a couple weeks ago. So
I'll go first if I may.
Yeah.
Thank you all. We all got the chance to participate in several different sessions. One that I thought was, pretty interesting was with the Idaho High School Athletics Association. And Idaho is very firmly in the a proponent of school choice and open enrollment. And I think that's a great thing. And the one piece, though, as it pertains to athletics, I think most of us that enjoy athletics see kind of what's going on at the college level, and it's like the Wild West with regards to athletics, and I don't think it's helped at all. And so in that spirit, I really liked the discussion around having rules and practices in place so that we don't turn student athletes into athlete students in the state of Idaho. So that was something that I really hadn't given a whole lot of thought or had a whole lot of understanding about. So I thought that was really good as a sports guy.
yeah.
So the conference was really great. It was really nice for us that it was close to home. So that's always a blessing to not have to travel, even though that's fun too. But it is nice to have in our own backyard, and the resort's great. I went to quite a few breakout sessions, but I think, so for the sake of time, I won't go over them all. But I did go to 2 breakout sessions on AI, which were very interesting because, as you know, it's here. and it's going to be part of all of our lives. So one of them really just sort of focused on more of a conversation, what we're seeing in education, what we have to look for, what parameters and lane lines and boundaries we should have with it. AI, I think, could be a great tool, but it also has a very scary side, at least in my opinion. And then the other one was really interesting. The president signed an executive order, I'm not sure how long ago, but one of the sessions was unpacking what was in that. So that was very interesting as well. But let's just put it this way, AI is not going anyplace. We're going to see more and more. So I highly recommend that everybody get well-versed on it, because it is going to be in our schools with our children. And just like all technology, it's great when the kids are older and maybe not so much when they're younger, but we definitely are going to have to develop good, strong boundaries and lane lines to protect our kids, but also enable them to use it as a tool. So did some other essential legal hot topics, school finance. I mean, some stuff probably wasn't as exciting, but I did learn from everything. So I got some good nuggets from all of my sessions. So it was good.
I'll just pull out a couple breakout sessions I went to. One was the session on the executive order on AI with Trustee Bierke. And like she said, it was interesting. I was previous to that session not aware there was an executive order on AI. So it was interesting to hear about that. I also, we had a presentation on school finance, which I think you were also in, that was just a good recap of some of the current challenges and unknowns about school finance right now. So that was good. And then another session I attended that I personally really enjoyed was it was about Idaho Launch and IDEAL and Advanced Opportunities Funds, kind of these funds and mechanisms the state provides to help our kids with their next things. And I learned, and I did not previously know this, although if I went back and looked at a counseling email, it's in there, but all those things are on a website called nextsteps.idaho.gov, and they led us through it, and it's a really great website. So anyway, that's my little plug. Perfect.
Yeah, I went, my trusty buddy Lisa, we went to the new trainee for us newbies there, and so I felt never more proud to be part of Coeur d'Alene than at those meetings, because boy, there are some school districts having a lot more issues than ours. So I was really very happy to hear all the great things that the district office and the team that is here and the board that actually gets along and can work together. So it was very reaffirming to me that I made the right decision to jump into this to try to help kids and staff. Learned a lot, went to some finance ones. We sat in through kind of unbreaking down, the state politics from Mr. McGrain, and that was good. And so I think they're very informative. I felt like, if you're going to trust us in there, they're going to get the most out of it. I jumped on in and been able to make sure I went to all the events. And I think, it's like a backpack. You kind of grab nuggets from here or there. You grab some, and then you also hear some stuff that you're like, I don't think we need this at our district. And so I think you hear some good and bad. And so I was very, very pleased to hear how great we have it here. And I'm just going to keep moving forward. It feels like we're here and want to get to here, rather than some of these folks that just really some of the issues that are around that made you really feel better for where we're at. So kind of reaffirming for me.
It sounded like a fabulous training time, and it's always great when it's in Coeur d'Alene. So great. Good. Thanks. All right. I don't know if there's any other board comments. I've already made mine, and so great. We'll just keep going. Then it's time for public comment. We have one person that would like to come up and give public comment today, Mr. Green. And so, Mr. Green, you'll have 3 minutes to go ahead and give your comments this evening. You have 3 minutes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Well.
Oh, he thought it was 2.
Oh, you thought it was 2? Oh, you have 3.
You always have
Yeah, you always have 3. And so
Is this on?
It is.
Okay, I don't know if I can follow the SAG or not. I'll try to be to the point, precise, and concise, just as they were. But I also should want to comment on some of the presentations. I was certainly touched by the adjectives that were used to describe teachers. And Chair Rebecca Smith, I also want to add a little comment. I first started coming to these meetings quite a while ago, when she was still in the midst of this, all this, being a trustee and chair. And she was always so welcoming and so encouraging, so interested in any ideas that I had. And I thought that was so nice to have the official board be open and interested in wanting to hear from the public. I also observed that over the years there was a constant growth, I think, in my humble opinion, towards growth and cohesiveness and unity and togetherness on the board, trying to look at all the issues that come up through the lens of what's going to be good for kids. That was always the clarity, and I thought that emerged more and more as a theme. I really appreciate that as a member of the public. So I can find this. So I'm going to talk again. I probably will every time about artificial intelligence. So I was glad to hear that you guys have heard more about that and are interested in it. And I always want to encourage more and more research in it because it is so valuable in terms of the potential, but also fraught with opportunities for misuse. And I want to comment on, and I'm looking around this room, and I'm sure there are some master teachers here, right in this room, and there are some master teachers probably online listening, and they've all heard stories about how one educator, a coach, a teacher, a mentor, a tutor, a cook, a janitor, someone in their life from the educational world made a really big difference because there was an interchange of heart and soul. And I try to figure out how can you have that with a computer? And so I have images in my mind of, 10-year-old, 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds sitting in front of a computer with headphones on and reading to the computer. And the computer analyzing and making suggestions and praying things out that the teacher can use to help reading, maybe. On the other hand, I also hear stories about how kids have completely changed as a result of one individual, one educator, or a series of experiences with the tutor, with the teacher, with someone who really took an interest in their story, not just their brain, but their heart and soul. And I'm always saying, well, how can a computer duplicate that? I don't see how it's possible. So I hear about, well, that's a change. I hear a grandfather say, what a changed kid. Well, what did that? It was the relationships that kid had, that student, that boy or girl, with an adult person in the educational world who understood about their story and took an interest in the child's desire to learn, but understood the frustration that came from learning that was blocked and not feeling good about themselves because they aren't getting it. And all of a sudden the light goes on and it flashes, and people in the school always say, have you heard that so-and-so is now reading better, is spelling better, is doing math better? Now how did that happen? It can't possibly happen through the basis of a computer interaction because there's no heart and soul there. We know that what are the three legs of education? A motivated student, a family, parental situation that's supportive, and a skilled, dedicated, loving teacher who can go, and I want to just quote a couple of things. Am I 3 months up yet? probably pretty
I
soon.
was letting you go, Mr. Green, because I wanted to hear what you had to say.
So some of the things I've heard with the presentations connects with every student. Unwavering belief in what is possible. Thanks for a servant heart. Trust. Those are invisible spiritual qualities that no computer can generate. And no interaction with a child can create that spark that says, learning is great. I'm glad to go to school. I'm looking forward to going to school. And there's someone there who can help me struggle with things that I don't quite understand. And the core of education is that belief that every heart and soul has this potential to contribute and to be an example and a light to a world that's sometimes looking like it needs a lot of light. So I just want to encourage more and more research. Be on the lookout for things that help and don't help. I know one high school teacher has already told me, I'm not assigning papers anymore because they go to the AI and get it all done. I'm going to find other ways to assess rhetoric. You know what's rhetoric? Writing, speaking, thinking, critically understanding assumptions, seeing implications, drawing conclusions, and proposing new ideas to make changes. Way past 3 minutes. Well, so
Thank you, Mr.
So thank you
Green.
very much for all of that.
And thank you for your support over the years.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Hawker.
All right, thanks, Chair Smith. We do have a couple of reports we want to give you. First will be our finance report, and then we will do an assessment update. So, Tyler, take her away.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Hawker, Chair Smith. We will miss you, Ms. Southwick, and other members of the board. So, to give you an update on our audit, all field work and reconciliations have been completed. The firm is finalizing their review. Last week, they contacted me on the phone and requested a little bit of extra time to ensure that the reports reflect the most. Do I need to go here to the next slide? Hold on a second here. I apologize. There we go. No? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So last week they called me and asked for a little bit extra time to ensure that everything was correct and accurate, which is important. We support that commitment to precision and transparency. Obviously, it's better to be right than to be rushed. And so it says this next bullet point, it says we expect the final report and presentation to be ready for the January board meeting or potentially a special virtual board meeting to approve the audited financials prior to Christmas break. I talked to the auditing firm, well, multiple times today, but the latest I received from them was that they would be ready for a potential virtual board meeting. I say that just in case people are gone traveling, they could remote in and be part of that board meeting, but they would be ready to do that on the 29th of this month, so 3 weeks from today. They would be able to do that if board members were available. So I wanted to throw that out there, and we can look at that. Any questions about that?
Do we have a, I mean, is there any, I'd rather have it at a regular board meeting if possible, but is there anything that's limiting us from
Could they
doing
come
that?
to our January meeting? 'Cause
They certainly can. Our hope is that the minute the audit is done and we receive that audit, we don't make any. There's no changing in the text of that audit once we receive it from our auditor. So we will send that to the state. What we're holding up right now is your December December payment, your November payment, I should say. That we're already 30 days or so behind, and so the interest earnings that we count on with those dollars, that's what's at stake. So depending upon how quick they can get that done, I guess, and it depends obviously on your availability. We know that's the week right between Christmas and New Year's, but if there were a 30-minute, 45-minute window to zoom in, we can have a meeting like that, and I'll be here on site in case there's any public comment or anything like that, but it potentially could occur on that Monday. That is their earliest, I think, potential date. I'm sure they would love to wait until the Monday. That would just cost us an extra couple weeks. Yep, it's just interest. So I think if there's an avenue to have that meeting on that Monday, we'd love to have it. If there's not, then we will just do it at your board meeting in January.
I changed my mind, but I was just having the presentation and having that all.
And so maybe a follow-up in January, that's probably, I mean, a suggestion would be do
what
that.
we have to
as-
do, but
yeah,
still kind of.
and then do maybe a
As
major
normal as
follow-up at the
possible.
regular meeting, a recap of even that meeting or something might be something to consider.
For clarity purposes, if you don't mind, would you want the auditor to come again that second time, or would you like us and Tyler to just give you that maybe if we do have a meeting before your January board meeting, then in January we could go over it one more time in in an informal way, since you've already approved it, but to make sure that the community's fully aware and all of that stuff, because we know that there's going to be a lot of folks out of town between Christmas and New Year's.
So would the auditor do the full presentation at the virtual meeting, if that's the route we go?
I guess that's all I would just need that clarification, and we can ask the auditor. He may be able to come to both.
So he's planning on, I apologize, he's planning on being here in person no matter what. The virtual option, January or in December. Okay. The virtual option was just anyone who may be out of town who would like to be part of that.
My only input would be if there was something unusual, if there's standard stuff, that, been year in, year out, and you have as if he came up with something unusual or out of the ordinary, then I would like to have details from him as to the why. You know what I mean? So I think it kind of depends on how the audit comes out. If it's pretty standard and normal, I'm not as concerned as when they find something that's out of the ordinary or something that's been not inconsistent with prior years, then I would want more details. But I'll make myself available either way. Every day worth money to the kids, so I'm all in.
And Trustee Rasmussen, they actually provide that to us before they're ready to present by a couple weeks, and so we would have those answers prior to that.
Perfect. I think it would help go quicker, so I think the sooner we could do it.
Okay, thank you. And then one more slide here. As promised, we were going to go over the support units. FY25 support units were 451. Enrollment above budgeted projections by 100, roughly flat overall. So attendance tracking, the SAG students, it's great that they were part of that 90-day blitz as well. And it's really making a difference. Dr. Nelson will talk about that next, but as they mentioned, it's roughly about a 2% increase, which is amazing. A lot more kids in classrooms every single day. And so our FY26 budgeted support units budgeted was 448, and excited to report that our FY26 mid-year support units came in at 454 from the state, which is outstanding. So again, a lot more funding to support these great kids and teachers to support them. So any questions about support units?
No, not a question, but just kind of in response to the CEA report, and it's tough that sometimes we need to have this part of the cake baked before we actually know what we're dealing with funding. So their comments about, increases of the salary and everything are well felt and received on our end. It just so happens there's just been so much noise the last couple of years that it makes tracking that so difficult. So this is the right direction, and fingers crossed it'll continue so we can do the things that we want to when it comes to budgeting.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. And Dr. Nelson.
Hi there.
Hi.
Come back here. Almost at that. Good evening, everybody. Chair Smith, Dr. Hucker, and members of the board. Chair Smith, my personal commendation to you and personal thanks. Best wishes to you as you leave the board, but we are all indebted for your guidance and leadership. In August of this last year, we and our building and district administrators all gathered together in what we call our admin advance. It's an opportunity for us to think about what we really want to accomplish over the course of the coming year. And the immediate focus on attendance was certainly there, both at daily attendance and reducing what was called chronic absenteeism, which we shared with you in early September. Our 90-day blitz is what we called it. That ends this month, but we would like to share with you some data to show you what we have done so far. It's important to remind you that Idaho is one of 6 states in the entire nation that funds based on average daily attendance. Without a focus on maintaining a high attendance rate, We are bound to be underfunded no matter in support units, which Mr. Morton just talked about. The calculation by which the state determines how much staffing we should have, certificated staffing, support staffing in a variety of ways. In other words, the more that our students are present, the more staff we will have to be able to support them. Additionally, and unsurprisingly, educational research consistently shows that regular attendance is strongly linked to higher student achievement. Duh! Students who attend school more consistently perform better in reading, math, and other core subjects, while students who have chronic absenteeism have learning gaps that are difficult to overcome. So, again, this is not something new for you, but it was the moral imperative for us to be able to look at our attendance rates to reduce academic struggle, dropout rates, and diminished long-term opportunities. This table that I put together shows the impact of average daily attendance, and there are a lot of dates up here, but I want to walk you through it very briefly. If you take a look at the chart, which shows average daily attendance over the past 7 years, let's start down here at the very bottom. In the 2018-19 school year, on the first day of May, we had 10,706 students enrolled. However, we had a 91% attendance rate at that particular time. Therefore, the state funded us as if there were only 9,978 kids enrolled. Same thing in the 1920 school year. We had almost 11,000 students enrolled on that same date. Because of our 92% attendance rate, about 8% of our overall funding was removed. Now, the state did make adjustments in 3 years, from the 21, 22, and 23 years, that's the asterisk that you see there, to move to an enrollment-based model. So you'll notice that despite our attendance rate lagging over those 3 years, the numbers on the far right were closer to our overall enrollment at that time. The last 2 years, however, we've been back on average daily attendance as our funding model. And again, you can see the impact that happens if you have just 1% of students absent regularly. Now that you have that, it is important also to know that in the 2025 school year, we saw a greater percentage of our Coeur d'Alene students identified as chronically absent. Now, again, it's important to reemphasize that a student, for any reason, if they are out of the classroom, including extracurricular activities or field trips, they are considered to be chronically absent if they meet 10 or more absences in one semester. Therefore, if you have a student who is involved in many activities, or students who are, say, at expeditions at Northwest Expedition Academy who regularly have field trips, or students in the outdoor studies program at Lake City High School who regularly go into our community for studying purposes, they are more likely to be labeled as chronically absent, even though we know that they are certainly working in the best interest of their own academic growth. Again, no matter the calculation, making effort to make sure that students are in their seats in our schools makes a difference. So we designed the 90-day attendance blitz to bring awareness about attendance. Number one, how our state funds attendance. Number two, how do we make sure that we keep kids in our buildings? Number three, how do we make sure that we reduce those who are chronically absent? So we increased community communication, outreach with our students, families, community, like you had heard from our student advisory group. And we're also looking at ways to incentivize those who are there at each of our 17 school sites. This is not just something, again, in isolation. This is also important to remember that everything that we're doing must tie back to our strategic plan. So if you look at the 5 goals that we've presented you over the course of this year in our professional development guide, each of those are impacted by greater attendance. That is our ultimate goal. And we started generating ideas from our teaching staff, support professionals, scientists, students, all of which kind of led us to some more outreach. We started reaching out to social media. We started looking at print media as well to really fully understand why our students are gone. Is it by choice? Is it by need? Is it by opportunity? But ultimately, our job was to do something over the last 3 months that really showed growth. And the results are in. Over our 90-day attendance blitz, a lot of data up here on the screen, but last year's attendance rate in the first quarter of the year was 90.79%. In the 2026 school year, our current school year, that same time period, we're at 92.57%. That is an increase of 1.78%. Now, that does not seem like a lot, but Mr. Morton, would you rejoin me for just a second? You get to say the magic numbers.
We know it's a lot.
If we increase our attendance by 1.78, it equates to about how much?
Close to $1 million in funding.
That's simply by doing the right thing. Thank you, Mr. Morton. Sorry to call you out. I'd also like to acknowledge Bryan Elementary School, Woodland Middle School, and Venture Academy, also for having the greatest increase in attendance by level. As you heard in Mr. Morton's report, this equates to a substantial increase in state funding. Just as impressive, take a look at the last column. Now, this data is current as of November 17th when we presented it to our building administrators. But those are the number of students with perfect attendance as of that point. And we provided lists by school to each leader at our last admin council meeting so that they can recognize what's going on. But 10% of our student body, greater than, had perfect attendance within the first 3 months of school. So the work that we're doing is making a difference. So now what? We now believe that we have some litmus of what works. We did some action research over the last several months, and each building is approaching it in a similar but unique way. This month is the end of our 90-day blitz, and coming up at our Learning for Leading meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have an opportunity to kind of put together the Coeur d'Alene way, how we want to address chronic absenteeism and how we want to encourage kids to be in our buildings every day. We're also making a new push towards self-directed learning. This is the procedure that allows students to place themselves on short-term attendance contracts to address their unique needs when they're not in the classroom due to situations outside of their control. So we've piloted this procedure at several schools, and we're now beginning more of a fuller rollout. Self-directed learning allows families to be able to contact our offices and say, we're going to have this unique opportunity. We're going to be on a vacation for this time. We're in a travel team, and every Friday we're going to be gone. As long as it is pre-identified, our families can go through this process. The process does, however, need a guarantee from the student that this is not retroactive. This is not just something that they're going to do when they come back, but they are going to maintain consistency in their work. Many of our staff are already placing items on Schoology. Many of our staff are communicating back and forth via email. Provided that our students are staying on track, their absences will still count against chronic absenteeism, but it will not count against us in terms of state funding. So we're very, very pleased to show you what we've done so far. We are not satisfied, nor are we done with our attendance blitz. You certainly can understand we're proud of where we're at, but we also know that we have to keep the pedal going over the course of this year. I'd love to be able to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Questions?
I don't really have a question, but well done. I mean, the best thing out of this is it's best for kids to come to school.
Yep.
And it aligns with our strategic plan. And so it's a win-win really for everybody, but mostly for our students.
That's certainly how we approached it.
I wanted to ask, you said, that was news to me, that we're one of 6 districts that are still funded by ADA.
One of 6 states.
What did I say?
Would you like to know the other 6
Sorry,
or the other
no,
5?
No. My question is, that is different than how it used to be. Is that because a lot of people stayed in enrollment during the COVID time, after COVID?
I'm not sure of
The
that.
state I came from, we were always ADA.
Correct. California is one of the other 5.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was a new thing or...
As far as I can remember, even as a student, average daily attendance has been our funding mechanism in Idaho.
Okay.
So I don't have historical context, but yes, California, Idaho, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, and Texas are the only 6.
So the remaining states are enrollment?
All of the rest are enrollment based.
Interesting. Okay, I did not know that. didn't know we were only one of 6. Well done. Keep up the good work. And
Thank you.
again, this is a win for our students.
Thank you, trustee. We are trying.
No, I think it's phenomenal work, when you look at how you turn that into dollars, and I think I'd really like the self-directed learning. I think there's opportunity there. I think you're gonna have to identify them. You're gonna have to find these, these students and, make sure they're part of that, whether in their drama or sports. But I just really think, I'm not a huge, I have my green belt, but I'm not a huge Lean Six Sigma person, but the concept is what you're doing. You focus on something, you're gonna get better at it. Every school we did on our tour, you walk into Canfield, they have the numbers for the week up there. You walk into, when we went down to, I've been at Lake City and I've walked into some other school, and they have them out there that when you focus on something, you're gonna get better at. And I think that's what you're doing a phenomenal job on, is each principal can talk to it, the kids are talking to it, the SAG kids are talking about it, you're making it a priority, and I just think you're gonna get better at it. So kudos to the efforts, and I think that's where it comes from, is that when you focus on something, you get better, and your numbers are showing to it. So that's great work.
Thank you, Trustee Rasmussen. We have a great team who's really taken this under their wings and recognize the imperative of the work, not only for the financial benefit, but we recognize that really our true goal is about achievement. The signs are there. If our students are engaged, if they're present with us, more likely they are going to do well.
Kudos to communications for pounding the drum and staying on it and making attendance cool again. Thank you for that. Totally are. And not to, get too competitive, but West Ada is still ahead of us, and that may be a place where we can close the gap, and the academic gap will be theirs eventually.
So noted.
Yeah. Good job, seriously.
Perfect.
Got to get creative, so thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Nelson.
My pleasure.
We're going to move then to our consent agenda. And is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. We've got first readings then tonight, and I think Ms. Groutman's going to be here for a while, presenting the next few things, so.
Good evening, Trustee Smith, Chair Smith, trustees, honorable trustees, Superintendent Hawker, and Clerk Southwick. I just want to add my voice to all of those that are expressing their incredible gratitude to you, Chair Smith, for your leadership and dedication to our students. It's been phenomenal to get to work under your leadership. Thank you. Tonight, the first thing that I wanted to discuss or hopefully bring before you is an update to Board Policy 2520. 2520 was updated at the ISBA level in 2022, and we hadn't updated ours since 2020, so it was more or less just an update that was well needed. It does not all of the provisions of the policy we've been following the entire time. So for example, one of the major differences is that we have 50% of our curriculum adoption committees be from the public, which we've been following, and that we provide notice and that they're part of open meeting law, which we have also been following. So it does not reflect any kind of lack of compliance to what our state's been requesting. It's just an update of the policy to ensure that we're in alignment. And I'll stand for any questions.
I think we're good then. So does this need to move out then into public comment then? Yeah, okay. So let us go ahead and we'll just take care of that really quick then. Is that all right? So
I move to accept revisions to Policy 2520, curricular materials, and advance it to a public comment period.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that'll move out. Thank you.
Be back.
Is the next one you as well. So it's new policy 2650 or Dr. Nelson. There you go.
Stuck me in the middle.
All right.
We should have had a little bit better consultation here. Recent updates from the Idaho School Boards Association took a look at our current policy 3001, enrollment qualifications. That particular policy was a pretty mondo policy. It was multiple pages. And ultimately, the recommendation from ISBA was to split that policy into two.
And we're going to do 2650, I think, first.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. They're kind of intertwined,
Okay.
but I can certainly work through that. The new recommended policy would be policy 2650, which would be credit transfer and assessment. It takes the components out of 3001, which was it was embedded in enrollment qualifications, and moves them out into new policy language. You'll notice the model policy and as well as suggested edits from our teams for your provision.
Terrific. Is there any questions regarding that? Because at all? No. All right.
There was one in the packet, which
correct.
was useful to have an answer to. So.
So why don't we go ahead then? Is there a motion then? To accept new.
Make a motion to move new policy 2650, credit transfer and assessment replacement for students from non-accredited private schools, including homeschool, and proposed revisions to policy 3001, enrollment qualifications, interest placement, and credit acceptance, move it out to public opinion.
Terrific.
We did both.
So you went ahead and did both. Is there any further discussion? Is there a second, first of all?
Second.
Is there a second? Terrific. Is there any further discussion or anything you would like to add to that, Dr. Nelson?
I went backwards, so hopefully I've answered the questions that you may have.
All right. If there's no further questions, then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Move both those out. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. All right.
And I'm back. I have 15 course proposals that I am bringing for your consideration and review, and asking you to please consider putting them out for public comment. Of these 15 course proposals, 7 of them reflect new CTE offerings. Actually, one is an update to a current CTE offering. 5 of these represent honor music courses. 2 of these are PE courses, and 1 would be an elective science course. These course offerings, once approved, if approved, could be made available at any high school in our district, so long as we have the amount of interest that would make it viable to do so, as well as having a teacher who is qualified to teach those courses and has the right certifications. I will stand for any questions that you might have.
Katie, when you say they'll be available, are you talking next school year or next semester?
Technically, we could offer them as soon as next semester if you were to approve them in January, but that's not the plan. The plan is really to make them available next school year.
Just kind of a generalized question, not necessarily, but we have been approving a lot of new course proposals, which has been great. You may not even know this, but I would be curious to know how many of the ones we've approved have actually come to fruition. Be kind of something you'd stick that in our board notes, but I'm just curious.
Absolutely. I would be happy to provide board notes for you. We have been really trying to be purposeful about only doing this once a year, unless we've had a need to present, for example, with the digital literacy credit that was passed at the end of last school year. We needed to work that in outside of our timeline. But the reason that we're bringing 15 right now is because we've really tried to be purposeful about only presenting this to you once per year, to ensure that you don't get continually bombarded.
So is this the proposed one time this year and then. I feel like, I mean, and time goes by so fast, so it could have been last year already. It's hard to keep track
Yes.
sometimes, but I feel like we just approved a bunch, so.
It was in January.
A year ago? Could have been a year already.
It was about January of last year. We moved it back by 1 month this time around because we were asked by building principals, high school principals, to give more run time for students to get signed up for these courses. So the sooner we get them through and approved, and then we can have students sign up and we'll know if they're going to be used for next year.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, there's a number of questions just in our packet as well, so that were answered. And is there a motion then? It's kind of right there in the middle of the list.
I move to accept the 15 new course proposals as presented and advance them to public comment period.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Grotman.
Thank you so much.
Next on our agenda is revisions to policy 3295, and that did go out for public comment. We received a number of public comment. We received an email this afternoon as well, and so, yeah, is there further discussion and thoughts on some of the things that we received?
Chair Smith and trustees, Dr. Hawker. Yeah, we provided information as far as our feedback on the public comments, which you had access to, as well as the board questions that were presented over the weekend. I've, obviously have that information for you. I think it's again, the overall foundational rationale reason for this is simply to reiterate a little bit more what I mentioned in the packet was we just want our students to have a great opportunity in schools. And so this started back in August of 2024 with that meeting that I mentioned with some of the community leaders and some of the district staff, and even we had an Idaho representative there. And we were just talking about some of the issues that had occurred previous to that meeting. And so it was thoughtful and with careful intent to say, is this something we should review? Is this something we need to address? And it was an overwhelming, yeah, we need to take a look at this. If we have students that are not feeling like they belong, if they are sensing that they have to look over their shoulders, so to speak, and I put in the comment as well, I know for many of us, I know for me personally, I've never been in a situation where I've been in a public school where I had to worry about that. I just was fortunate. But I know we do have students that do have to be concerned about that. And I referenced one parent comment in there, and I had a meeting with one of the parents and just said, how long does my student have to hear this before something changes? And so then the question is, what kind of changes should we make? And I also mentioned one of the leaders from the Coeur d'Alene tribe said, I've been a part of a lot of these things and nothing seems to ever change. And I'd like to see something significantly happen. And so this is our effort. I know it hasn't been easy, but I can tell you it's been very thoughtful, and it's been something that we've taken a lot of time. We've looked at a lot of verbiage. I know one of the concerns from the public comment is the use of the bias-based disrespectful conduct. We've wrestled with that word. That's not something new. We looked at just saying disrespectful conduct. We actually talked about that in our meetings. But we just, with the patrons and the people on the task force, they said, this is something a little bit different. When I have a racial slur that isn't just general disrespectful conduct, that's very targeted based on my personal characteristic, based on my race. And so those are the things that have driven us to really look at this policy and try to make a revision. So we've also included something new for you. We included the ISBA model policy. So you could see, I think as you look at that, you can see really our proposed policy is something that models that policy quite significantly. One of the questions that I know was presented to us is why do we have the definitions in the procedure and not in the policy? The ISBA policy does that, which is vetted by legal. Our policy 3330 does that. 3330P is where all our definitions are. 3330 is the policy. So that is not inconsistent. It's not something that we're trying to be somewhat underhanded in so doing that. It's just something that we do have precedent doing that. So I've also, Keith Orchard's here. He's been a part of the task force. Obviously, Heather Summers, even Stephanie Bales has been. So they're here as well. If you have any questions, we would certainly be willing to address them as best we can.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. And I think we are all, in agreement, the spirit of it that deserves some teeth to it. And, I want us to get this right. And some of the public, I want to be able to stand on this, and some of the public comments do kind of concern me because I think it deserves an exercise. I mean, we've gone through the workshop, but I don't want to get it wrong. And so some of the public comments, I do think there might be, maybe a lack of understanding or a little bit of concern over what this isn't versus what it is. So even when we had our SAG kids up here and they gave us their feedback on their concerns, some of it was kind of shared within some of the public comment that I had there. So I don't want it to get turned into something it's not. And so, part of me, and the last time when we did through the workshop, we had a couple of things I believe on the agenda when we did that. And so I'm just talking out loud here. I'm curious if having that exercise with a little bit more time and thoughtful discussion might allow us to get more community support pertaining to those concerns that were expressed. That's just my thought behind some of the comments that we got. Because I think when you go through and you say, I think you can kind of go through the exercise and say, because a lot of the comments were around the gray, and there's not a whole lot of clarity here and there. And it's like, well, in life there's a lot of gray too, and we want to allow our professionals to handle that gray. But I think a lot of the public didn't see it that way, if I may say.
Yeah. Obviously we want to get it right.
I think you have it right. I just don't. I think there's only so much of the story when you're talking about something so big can get conveyed sometimes through words on a paper. And that's tough.
Yeah, I don't know if I disagree, but we need to put our foot down. We need to stop this. I went to 2 funerals in the last 5 years, one of a high school kid and one of a junior high kid, and it was around bullying, and this crap needs to end. And I think we need to put our foot down, and if we have to tweak it, we tweak it, but we need to have a start, and this is a phenomenal start. This is a lot of input, and we need to, as a board, step up for these kids and the teachers and have some teeth around this thing. And so we could tweak this thing and try to, you're never going to get it right. It's like, I don't think you're ever going to have every action, to cover every scenario and every single thing, but we need to protect our kids, and we need to make a stance and do this. And we could restudy and go back and talk more, and we could tweak things, but we need to put our foot down, and we need to be able to stand up and say, hey, we're not going to accept this in our district, and we are for the kids in this school district, and we are going to protect them best we can. And if we have to change things here and there, we do. But I think this is a phenomenal effort, and I think we need to start with this and soon. So that's my thoughts.
Is it okay if I make some comments?
Yeah.
So I agree that we need something with teeth. I appreciate the spirit and all the hard work that the task force has put through, but I do have concerns. I've had them since the beginning. I think I would prefer to see a policy that's a little bit more with teeth and not so vague. I feel like this is just sort of not as clear as it should be. And I think we do need to get it right. Is it ever going to be 100%? No, we'll probably have to tweak it along the way. But I feel like this in its current state could use some tweaking. I too struggle with the bias-based definition. I know that that was kind of a replacement for hate speech, but I did a little homework today, and the reason we're removing hate speech, I was told, was because it doesn't exist in Idaho code. But this term also does not exist anywhere in Idaho code. So I understand what you're saying, why you came up with it, and why you feel it's important, but again, I feel like it's kind of vague. It doesn't have the teeth that we probably need for such an important topic. So I would like to propose that we do kind of workshop this again and tweak it a little bit before we accept it. I'm just not comfortable in its current iteration. I think it needs a little work. But I think it's an important topic that we need to address for sure. We want our kids safe. We don't want any of this stuff. We certainly don't want to have any repeats of going to funerals and things like that. But it needs some work. And so for me, I need it to be changed.
Sure.
And I'm not sure. I think with all of our minds, we could come together, maybe make a few tweaks that would make it even more, like really give it the teeth and make it more meaningful. So that's where I am on this.
I understand. I feel like the prevailing community comment out of 3 people,
Right.
I mean, it was 3 people,
Right.
was that the definitions were not in the policy and there weren't enough specifics about what would happen after an incident in the policy. I think the advantage of having that in the procedure rather than the policy is it's easy to tweak, right? If something's not quite right, a procedure, we don't have to wait for a 30-day comment period, and we can tweak it.
Correct.
Try something different. So from that standpoint, I'm actually very comfortable with having some of those things in the procedure where we can
Adjust.
And because we know the situations we had last year with racial slurs and bullying and harassment. Those may or may not be the same situations we have this year, right? So that's where I am on the policy. I would be ready to approve it. I would be interested in a follow-up, though. I'd be interested in a follow-up from administration on how do we feel like this is working in practice.
One of the things that I'd like to suggest and have the board consider is along that line, because the policy is the overarching purview of what this policy covers. The procedure is going to be the specifics of how it's going to be implemented, and the protocols are going to be even more specific. In our mind, what we as a task force, we understand that there may need to be some tweaking with the procedure from our standpoint. So for the board to consider adopting the policy, and then we could workshop, and we haven't even talked about this, Dr. Hawker, but I think that would make sense to workshop the procedure together so that we could take a look a little bit more at some of the definitions, and but at least puts us on the road to say, yeah, this is important. We care about how our students are going to be treated in the classroom and in the schools, and we do want to make sure that we make a stand that says this isn't acceptable, and more than that, and even more so than that, we want to move towards a fact and a recognition. We're not a punitive agency, we're an educational agency. And that's one of the things that we've emphasized in this that may create some of the vagueness, actually, is that we want to use these opportunities to help our students understand how to act, how to build a strong community. And punishment generally is in place because we wanted to make it so uncomfortable that you never do it again, it's somewhat effective. But education and discipline is we want to teach. so that you don't ever do it again, so that you understand and you have an understanding of why that type of behavior isn't acceptable and why we need to uplift the dignity of every student, no matter what their race is, what color of their skin, no matter what their economic status is, what their religion is, that they belong. And they shouldn't have to look over their shoulder and wonder, I wonder if somebody's going to call me the N-word today. That just should never happen. And from my standpoint, I would just say that's where we want to make the stand, and let's workshop with you to determine, what the procedure should be, but let's at least move forward with that.
I like that idea.
So just to clarify, usually we don't have much say-so in procedures.
I understand that.
So unless that's a guarantee, I'm a no on this, so.
No, let me
I
make
need to
sure.
know.
I mean, every procedure comes before the board. So,
Right,
so
but
you.
We don't typically, it becomes and it's introduced to us, but we don't typically.
Yeah, we inform, yeah.
Yeah, you inform
Well,
us.
yeah, I want to make sure we're very clear. I mean, we would not have a procedure if the board questioned and had concerns about something we're doing, we want to address that. That's our partnership, right? The goal is for the board to write the policies. You can see by Idaho School Board's example, they leave the procedural pieces up to administration, and that's my job and my team to put that together. We don't ever tweak that. We don't update that. We don't change that without bringing that to the board for your notice. Now, generally speaking, in the past, you have been very agreeable to the change, and so we haven't had that dialogue. But at any given time, if you ever recognized in a procedure that, hey, I got a bunch of questions about why your guys are going to do this, we want to have that specific conversation. We want to work that through so that you can understand this is why we're doing this. So there is that symbiotic partnership that has to take place, and you can see for lots of our policies, I'll use a little better English. We have a policy that says you're not going to do this, and the superintendent's going to put some practices and procedures into place, and then we have a procedure that can do that. And to Trustee Tinbrick's comment, that also allows our administration to come and report to us and say, hey, we've got something funky here in our procedure. This is just not working. We need to fix this. Okay, well then let's fix this. And then that does give us a quicker turnaround, because for us to change a policy, it's not just 30 days for public comment, it's 60 days generally, because we have a first reading and then public comment before it's adopted. So it is, 2 months of your 9-month school year where you may not have a policy in place. A procedure allows us to pivot and adjust accordingly much quicker.
And I do think that's where some of the concerns were, is that the procedures and how do I want to say this? Having one of these little kids in SAG just getting drilled for something that they didn't necessarily mean, and that's kind of like when they said that we have some concerns about this. We just want to make sure that we're, I guess, in the spirit of being transparent, I think having that discussion with the procedure to go through kind of what these exercises look like, I think that would go a long way.
That's, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Because I think until you actually, have the reality of what this conversation looks like, yeah, I guess you can kind of make up whatever you think could possibly happen without actually hearing it out and play it out in kind of real life.
Well, and that's why I think having a procedure that is, I'm kind of like a bullet point gal, like if this happens, just very clear and concise. And while we only had 3 comments, those 3 comments, people put a lot of thought and effort into writing those, and they were very concise, and I really appreciated that. I know you do too, but I just wanted to put that out there. I've sort of had like some ruffles with this since the beginning, so it was helpful for me to oh yeah, I could have said it that way. So I do really appreciate those comments, and I do think incorporating those concerns in our procedure would be worthwhile.
Even to Trustee McAndrew, your point about what the SAG students said, that's one of the major changes, right? In our current policy, it doesn't say anything about false accusations. In our new policy, it does. says, no, that's not you can't make a false accusation. We can act upon that.
Pretty astute by that student.
But as you have already articulated, yeah, we certainly appreciate public comment. I hope that's never a question. I mean,
Yes.
that's who we serve, is our community.
I really think that just that discussion with the procedures will allow us to, like you said, like stamp this and have it right.
Yeah,
Because the spirit
perfect.
is, we want changes
Yep.
to happen as a result, and we want students to and parents to feel like the job got done here.
Yep.
Chair Smith, if I may, Trustee McAndrew, I think that's a great thing, and if it's the board's pleasure, let's add that as one of our workshop items on our January workshop.
That'd be good. Cool. Can we just do that one only?
Yeah, because it's probably.
Just because sometimes you have, it's big enough, you never
No,
want to.
in fact, yes. I guess my recommendation, or my administrative recommendation, is that the board approves the policy, and we will have that workshop to review the procedure. And if anything comes from that procedure, then we can make those updates that day, the next day, right? That would be very, very quick.
Cool. Well, then.
I think that would be really awesome, because then it walks through the procedure for us and the public. I think that'd be really great.
Because one of the things at the workshop that we did talk about was how this policy in general was going to be rolled out district-wide. And maybe at that meeting, you can bring some of that information back too, of how there's teeth, what are the things that we're going to be talking about, bullying, and really bringing it to the forefront even more.
Yeah, we've already created draft protocols for administrators, parent communication. We could bring all that. But we would appreciate the opportunity to have the policy adopted so we feel like we could move forward kind of in good faith, knowing that we're on the track towards this type of philosophical emphasis and change for our students.
I would point back out, I guess, as well, one of the things, we've had lots of community, committees over the years and that type of thing. I was really struck at this last committee when you came forth, just at the real thoughtfulness and the length of time and the investment in it. Just, there was a sense that was very different about this one. So I just want to recognize that. There was a lot of work in that and a lot of heart. And so there is a motion before us then to approve or accept or wherever
so-
people are at, so.
I move to accept revised policy 3295, harassment, intimidation, bullying, cyberbullying. Well, this isn't what it's titled anymore though, right?
What it's originally titled.
And we go with what it's originally titled?
Revisions.
Okay. Okay, hate speech and malicious harassment as presented. I'm going to add with the expectation of walking through the procedure in our January workshop.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, policy is approved. Thank you. We're going to move on then to policy 9200, public works contracting and procurement. Dr. Hawker, is there anything to bring forth for that?
No, unless you have any specific questions. You can see this is just an update. You can click on that 9200. Let's see, is that a procedure actually? Yes. No, I'm down one. I'm good. The procedure is down below. That's what I was clicking on. So you can see those updated procurement dollar amounts. We already put this out for public comment. I think Seth gave you that presentation last month. This again just updates your public works dollar amounts to those as set by the state.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve? Or have any further questions or discussion?
Hearing none, I would make a motion to accept revisions to procedure 9200P, Public Works Construction,
Contracting.
Public Works Contracting and Procurement.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. We do have a couple of action items then. The next one actually is the approval of a memorial bench at the Early Learning Center.
And we do have some ladies here that would be happy to entertain any questions. Well, all right. I'm assuming that's why they're here. Maybe they're just here to see you vote on this. But we have received their recommendation for this donation, and so we're asking the board to allow them to move forward with this memorial.
Would you like to say anything?
It's such.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
Yeah,
if
it's
you
such a lovely tribute. So if you have something else to share.
Sorry, we'll just make this meeting even longer.
That's okay.
My name's Mary Wolfinger, and with me is Shelley Blank and Phoebe Washington. Jan was a very, very dear friend of ours. She was educated in this school district, as was I, and I think it would mean a lot to us, but also her children. We are here with her children's permission to honor her in this way. She absolutely loved Bora, and I encourage you to allow us to do this, to just honor her memory. And I look forward to going there and just sitting and talking to her. So thank you for considering this.
I just wanted to say that I got to visit the Early Learning Center this year, and for me personally, I taught at Bora with her for several years. Her spirit is still very much present there and dearly missed. So I just appreciate your consideration of this, and it would just mean a lot. I know I spoke with Katie and Cassie directly about this, and Matthew and Philip, her sons. They're all very grateful of this potential, so thank you for the consideration. I don't know if you want to say anything.
It was really fun for us to be able to visit the Early Learning Center in Bora just not too long ago as trustees, and such life and joy happening in that place still. So,
And she exuded joy every time.
Absolutely.
Can I make a motion?
You can make the motion.
I would make a motion for the approval of the memorial bench at the Early Learning Center in honor of our your colleague, Jan Wickham.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you, and thank you for waiting till the
This question,
end.
how are you doing on fundraising for this?
Well, I was waiting to put that together until we got permission for this.
I'm-
Probably put together a GoFund. Her memorial is in January, so we not presented it to her graduating class from Beckwood Lane High School as a starting place.
Yeah, I mean, I go to Chad. I know Greg and Phoebe are on, but if you go through the high school, you could, GoFundMe is going to take a percentage of it. If you go through the high school, you can have it, donations can be deductible. And so I think that, through the Booster Club, in the Education Foundation, you could have it be deductible. And so we could volunteer Chad, this is a world no-brainer, and so I know I will be in to help out. She's a classmate of mine and a good friend of ours too. So we're in to help out. We want to make sure this happens. So I would definitely recommend going through the high school Booster Club and Education Foundation, and we make sure this happens now. Yep. So.
Thank you. We have some additional information there. One will be the revisions to that procedure, which will come back at our at your workshop. And then revisions to procedure 9200P. I don't know if you have any notes on that.
No, again, it's just the procedure components that updates the policy that was just updated. We just wanted to present those.
Terrific. We've got our future meeting date of January 12th, and we are going to move then into executive session. So we'll do that. We'll take a quick break. So let's go ahead and move, though, into executive session first, and then we'll take a break. And so there's a motion there. It's at the, you gotta make the motion. A, it's under A. I move to recess from the meeting.
I move, okay.
I move that we recess from our
Do we have to do another?
board
Yeah,
meeting.
I think we have to do.
And then we'll have to do a roll
Okay.
call, so.
I move to recess from the meeting into executive session per Idaho Code 74-2061B to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, or public school student.
Is there a second?
A second.
Roll call?
Roll call. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Beerke?
Yes.
Trustee Tenbray?
Yes.